Yep, it's official. Colby Covington has ducked Ian Garry once again because Ian Garry is fighting Buckley, Tyler the Destroyer, on the Tampa card, the final fight night of 2024. And all that has to be said is fuck Colby Covington. He should be retiring or considering retiring right now. Like, that's it. Your career's done. The guy who you used to be, determined, you put on the shtick, willing to fight, tooth and nail with the best fighter at the time, which was Kamaru Usman. Saying that you're all about that and you're willing to give it all up to win the belt. And seeing as though how he treated himself after that Leon Edwards fight, trying to be a patriot in front of Trump, and now ducking a contender, which could bring you somehow and kind of sadly back into title contention, is a pathetic move. The guy he once was, he no longer is, and he's been hogging up the rankings with it, and this is why I want to see him go, because at least McGregor trickled down the rankings and, got booted out eventually. Somehow Colby Covington is in the rankings. Now, yes, he's only lost to the champion, but that's because they're only giving him the title fight. When you're not fighting contenders, of course you're not going to lose to anyone but the champion when they're only giving you title fights. In his last 5 fights, 3 of them being title shots, all 3 shots which he's missed. Now, yes, the Kamaru fight, the second one was close, should have been a draw. Arguably kind of round 3 is a 50-50, but could be a draw, could be a close decision win for Usman. Whatever. After the way he treated himself with the Leon Edwards performance, getting dismantled by Leon, after not doing anything according to, him flopping his leg, breaking his leg and flopping around after the first round. It's whatever. You lost the fight. You should have, gone all out. But looking at the rest of his resume, none of his wins are relevant anymore to keep him at the number 6 position. The rankings should be about who's the fresher contender for the top fighters. Who's the fresher contender for the champion? That's Ian Garry. That's Joaquin Buckley. That's Jeff Neal. Those are the guys who should clearly be above a guy like Colby Covington, whose last win was against Jorge Masvidal in 2022. And even if you want to, compare resumes with Ian Garry, of course, okay, Ian Garry has a longer win streak, but Colby Covington has beaten so many of the champions. So many UFC champions. Dos Anjos. Yes, at the time, great win. And that was for a belt. Okay, that was for an interim belt. When Ian Garry, if he keeps winning, he's going to get to a belt. His first fight for the belt is going to be against a no-brainer. It's going to be against a champion. And then he's going to be fighting former champions like Edwards and Usman and that kind of stuff when he gets to the top. Right now, he's a contender, but the fresher contender on a healthy win streak. And then he takes a fight on short notice with Robbie Lawler. I bet you this, he would not have fought anyone else on that fight night card if it wasn't for a declining, and you have to say declining, a declining Robbie Lawler. Way past his prime, but still a champion on his resume, and then Woodley as well, which, not the best of wins, but it's another champion on your record. Compared to Ian Garry, it's still pathetic. And now, but outside of that, you want to talk about the rise to the title shot as well, and compare resumes there, and why, Ian Garry should be above a guy like Colby Covington, who hasn't been active once again. Look at the wins. For Colby Covington, it was Damian Maia, Dun Hyun Kim, Max Griffin, and Brian Barberena. I say Ian Garry's last 4 fights are pretty much the equivalent to that. And D-Rod, Magny, Neal, and Page. They're the equivalent to that. Same with Joaquin Buckley. Should clearly be above him. Jeff Neal got a win, a more, I guess, decisive win over Dos Anjos. An older version of Dos Anjos. But hey, it's a former champion. You beat him. You've been fighting guys like Shavkat and taking Ian Garry to a split decision. You're a fresher contender, especially as of now because Bilal is the champ and you're the last guy to beat Bilal. So that, should give you some kind of credit towards, contendership status. Crazy how, as of right now, Ian Garry is still below Colby Covington. And Colby Covington isn't even out of the top 10 for being both inactive and not winning, right? Crazy shit, but on the other hand of me saying Colby Covington should retire and that he is a bit of a pathetic guy now. Not that he wasn't before with the dorky shticks and whatnot, but as a fighter, respect-wise, others definitely lack that towards him even more now. So that's pathetic. And what happened, Dana White? What happened to the 3 fight? We have to offer 3 fights a year. I don't believe it. I completely don't believe that. But that's the statement he made to the world. And Colby Covington doesn't turn down fights. You know what? I think in Dana White's mind, Colby Covington not looking at the contract and pretending it's not there doesn't mean that he turned down a fight when he's clearly ducking fights left, right, and center. I bet Colby Covington's gonna either call out Dustin Poirier, Stephen Thompson, or Gilbert Burns. He's gonna win and then call out Bilal Muhammad or Shavkat, whoever becomes champion. And speaking of Shavkat, to segment into the backbone of the video to cover now what's going to happen with the welterweight title, seeing as Bilal is out of 310, and they booked Ian Garry, which I actually thought was the likely contender they were going to match Shavkat with, because undefeated versus undefeated is good on any pay-per-view. Not the biggest of names, of course, but you can make a big name out of them with an interim title on the line. But I thought that was going to be likely, and it was the closest thing to being likely because Ian Garry was willing to fight in December, but now he's just doing it the week after against Tyler the Destroyer. But now what's next for Shavkat? I'm thinking JDM because he's going to be healed up from his injuries. I'd lean more towards that. If not, obviously, the next step is Usman. And I think the less likely of all options is going to be them pushing back this title fight. They have a full schedule in the first quarter with Islam Makhachev, Arman Tsarukyan. They have a Saudi card. McGregor's going to be coming back sometime around then too. They're booked around that time, and I don't think they're going to be trying to double up on title fights nowadays, as they want a champion in their main events and their pay-per-view main events, that is. So yeah, I think they're gonna do the JDM fight for an interim title, but it's so head-to-head with them picking either JDM or Usman. I don't see Leon Edwards stepping in on short notice. The guy hasn't done it before. He won't do it again. Prove me wrong. Do it. But yeah. As for, who beats Shavkat, none of them do. As of right now, at least. JDM's boxing is just so slow. He's so overrated. Shavkat's not going to even need to use his takedowns. He's going to use his kicks. His straight shot boxing is going to pop Della Maddalena's head back. And I don't think he'll get a finish. I think he'll just get a clean 50-45 decision. and not the most exciting fight. Same thing against Usman. Maybe Usman wrestles in fight with Shafkat, but because the guy's a longer, lankier type of build. But the guy does have a good guillotine, so maybe he won't. But still, I think his boxing and the kicks will be there. Well, especially seeing how Leon was able to implement his kind of boxing and kicking game plan. I think Shafkat will do the same. And who was the other guy? JDM, Usman. Oh, Leon Edwards. Probably submission. Leon Edwards will get taken down, give his back, and Shafkat will jump on a rear naked choke sometime in the middle of the fight after a slow-paced fight. But yeah, F. Colby, crazy shit. But it's a good main event. At least it's a big main event on a fight night, on a crowded fight night as well. King of Miami, absolutely pathetic. This was your one shot, especially after the hurricanes and whatnot. Like, right after an election as well. If Trump wins, he could have, celebrated and brought Trump over. Beat Ian Garry, an Irish guy. Prove that you're the American Don. But you ain't. So, yeah. Cool. Peace.